Hey guys, I wanted to be as real today as possible in this video. I have been living here in the Phoenix, Arizona area now since about 2001. So realistically, this is about a 24-year review of what it's like living in Phoenix, Arizona. And sure, I'm a real estate agent in the area. And of course, I'd love for you to call me up and reach out to me so that I can help you out. But I want to be about as real as possible in this particular video to let you know the things that I don't like, what I found interesting about maybe living here in the Phoenix area, and what it's like overall. So I might just look at a couple topic points that I wanted to talk about, but I hope this is going to be something that's beneficial to you. We're in 2025 now. I've been living here in Phoenix, as I said, since 2001. Making that move was nerve-wracking. I'm basically going to a new city, one where I did not know anybody. I did have a job that brought me here. I was actually working with the YMCA back at the time as a director at one of their programs. So, that brought me here, but I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any friends here. I didn't have any family here. So really going to a new place and starting from scratch, it was very scary. And it was pretty much the same with my wife because, she didn't have family here. She'd actually lived in the Phoenix area before. So at least we had somebody that had some experience here. But that was basically it overall. So it was brand new. So after 24 years, how's it been here? Let me tell you, first off, um, let's talk about the weather. A lot of people say it's a dry heat. Well, I got to tell you, hot is hot. And in the summertime, it can get ridiculously hot. Now, I've kind of become comfortable to the different trends that we've seen in the summertime. And I'm okay, even if it's over 100 degrees. Honestly, it's once it gets over 110 degrees that I start having an issue. I'll tell you what, that is ridiculously hot. And there has been some times where we go through and we end up seeing multiple days, weeks where here we've got these ridiculous temperatures over 110 degrees. And those are the times that honestly, frankly, kind of suck because it's hot. But on the flip side, I lived in Michigan. I actually moved here from Detroit, and there were days where it snowed a ton, and it was really cold outside. Same, I lived in Chicago. It was really cold outside. So you've got these periods of times in other places where it's so cold outside that really you don't go out, you don't enjoy the outdoors. Well, it's kind of similar over here in those summer months. Although you can still go out and enjoy, you just have to be smarter about it. I ended up changing up my routine a little bit where I'd go out, run, do things early in the morning in the summer times. But I got to tell you, the rest of the year, weather-wise, you can't beat it. I'll talk to some of my good friends that are in other places like Chicago and Ohio, and I'm telling them I'm sitting outside here in a t-shirt and it's wintertime, and they're shoveling snow. So do I like the weather here? Absolutely. There is just a couple of months in the summertime where it's ridiculously hot. But I just have a sign that I post up there that says, "This too shall pass." And so far, every summer it has. It seems like sometimes it does get a little bit harder to deal with as I get older, but overall, it's not bad. We have AC units. It makes life inside more comfortable, and we still enjoy the outdoors. It's just either late in the evening or earlier in the day. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about, weather. Then also community. I mentioned to you how I moved here, and I really didn't know anybody. There was, of course, the people at work, and I made friends with people at work. But outside of that, once I moved into the house that I'm at here, we met the neighbors. I also had young kids at the time, and I started coaching soccer. And you start making friends with a lot of people that are involved in, of course, all these little groups that you're involved with. So either going to church, you're making friends there. If you're going and playing sports, you're meeting the other parents, and you've got neighbors, you're meeting them, and you're ending up making some really cool, excellent connections here. So that's kind of what happened. I ended up I love soccer. loved playing soccer, and that was one of the communities that I had. Here in the Phoenix area, there is a lot of sports that you can find, whether it be softball, baseball, now with pickleball. Um, you just find a place where you go and start playing and you start making friends with all these people that have similar interests than you. So right now, I've got a ton of people that I know. I've met some great friends. So the community has been really great. And I'm in the Levine area. It's actually been kind of cool because Levine is a little bit more of a tight knit, area. And because I coach kids, I start seeing some of these kids that now are older and they're working at Fry's or at the Safeway grocery store as they make their way through high school. So it's kind of cool to see that and have that community. Okay. So that's on that front. I wanted to dive into cost of living a little bit. Of course, cost of living, you can look at it in different ways. Of course, there's the cost of housing. When I bought way back when compared to now, how, things have appreciated. But overall, coming from, another state, you look at places like Chicago, of course, there's differences from Chicago to here, even from Detroit to here. Some of the costs that I see as being better here in the Phoenix area are, for example, property taxes. When we were in Detroit, boy, those property taxes were actually kind of high. I had people even back then when I moved over this way that were paying 8 to 10,000 a year, whereas over here you're usually paying somewhere in the, who knows, maybe on the low side, like 400 to 600 a year, which that's really quite low. To on average, I'd say probably 1,200 to 1,800. And there are some that are higher, but it tends to be somewhere in the 1% of what the value of the home is, which is actually pretty reasonable. What about other costs? I've noticed that, like, for example, gasoline prices are actually pretty reasonable compared to other places. I've got friends that have come in from California and their unleaded, for example, is over $5. Right now, I just filled up the other day. We're looking at $3 and I think it was 29 cents when I filled up. I actually have a diesel as well, and that was actually 3.29. I just filled that up yesterday. So gas prices tend to be kind of cheaper. I think that's great. I mean, as far as grocery prices, here we sit in 2025 and we have new administration in and all these things with tariffs going on. But all that aside, a lot of the prices have, gone up. And I know a lot of us are all feeling the pinch of like higher groceries, etc. I mean, it's kind of crazy to me. You go and you get yourself a Starbucks and you're looking at probably somewhere between $5 and $6 to get yourself a Starbucks coffee. If you want to go have, a quick meal, whether it be Subway or something else, you're now actually paying probably somewhere in the $10 to $15 range. So costs have gone up, but I think you're going to find that a lot of them are similar maybe from state to state, or at least that's what I've kind of seen when I travel. The biggest things that I've seen that are a little bit less here and more beneficial for us are, of course, property taxes. I think insurance for me also went down when I initially moved here. Because of course it is well, it's not as big a city as like say Chicago or Detroit, because actually there's a lot of issues over there. But that's kind of it in a nutshell. So there are some things that have definitely been better as far as prices. I'm sad to report, actually, insurance rates have actually gone up ridiculous amounts recently, but it seems to be a trend that I'm seeing all over the country. So maybe that'll end up getting better. So, that's kind of the cost. I get asked the question all the time, especially, of course, being in real estate, should I buy, should I not buy? And I look at myself in terms, not being a real estate agent, but I'm really glad that I ended up buying my home. And I'd rather be making payments on my house than be making payments on somebody else's mortgage. This is a place that I liked. I wanted to live, and regardless, I'm going to end up having to pay payments on a mortgage or make payments on, a rental property. So which would I rather do? And I know that a lot of people right now are saying that, well, you know what, the cost of the home is so much and the interest rate is so much. It's like, you know what, marry the home. You're only dating that interest rate, plus on top of it, if you like new builds, you can actually get some pretty good interest rates right now. My point being, I really don't have any regrets about having bought a house. I'm supercharged and glad I did. If I do have any regret as far as that is maybe that I didn't buy more houses. Let's see. What about things to do in the Phoenix area? Let me start off by saying that there's a lot to do here. I've mentioned before how I like playing soccer. There is so many places that you can find online that have intramural sports for anything and everything under the sun. And there's groups that you can get out there and do that. If your thing is being outdoors and hiking, there are so many hiking routes and mountains around here to go hike. One thing that I will tell you, super fun, that should be done is the Rio Salado tubing. Um, I had lived here for years. I mean, seriously, probably about 15 years before I went on my first Rio Salado inner tubing experience. And it's basically, excuse me, it's a section of the Rio Salado River where a bus takes you up there. They throw you in, these big inner tubes, and you just go floating down the river. And there's some people that take coolers with them, and there's other people that are playing their music. And I got to tell you, it's a hoot. It's a great time. Definitely need to do it. So that would be one thing. If you're into mountain biking, there is so many incredible trails for mountain biking out there. That's something that I've got into. I've gotten older. Soccer, unfortunately, had to go out. I can't run anymore. So now I'm doing mountain biking. I've discovered so many great places to mountain bike, and same places that you mountain bike, you can hike. The South Mountain Preserve has a ton of wonderful trails like the National, the Desert Classic. You could go to Goodyear, and that has the Estrella Regional Park. There's the White Tanks area. Well, I'll tell you, there's just no shortage. That's my point. Now, what about food? I'll tell you what, there's great food. To tell you the truth, I yet have not experience all the wonderful things that Phoenix has to offer. I tend to be a creature of habit, and I like something and I go back. And I've been trying to open myself up to, like, all right, let's go check out some new things. And I've been doing that little by little, but there's just some phenomenal places out there, and it's really great. Like when friends come visit, I'll take them, and we'll go have a burrito. And not everybody has access to such wonderful Mexican food, and they're like, wow, this is phenomenal. So food, I mean, there's so many great taco places, burrito places, pizza places. So dining, there's great dining. I also like the fact that there's like really cool bars to go hang out at, and breweries. Over on Roosevelt Row in the downtown area, there's Wilderness Phoenix. They offer some incredible micro brews over there. There also was one of the first ones here that started up over in Tempe, which I think sold out to Anheuser-Busch. But all the same, they're still over there. There's a couple of them, and now they've popped up in multiple areas. So it's a fun thing to go discover some of these different locations. There's also great nightlife if you're into that. I don't really go out dancing and all that stuff, but there are those places where you could do that. So those are things to do. Now, as far as finishing up this, tidbit, I want to do like a regret. Do I have any regrets? And I will tell you, to a certain extent, yes, I do. Um, Arizona is just an incredible state. I never really have thought about it too much. And recently, I've noticed all the different opportunities that I've missed, that I could have been experiencing. Even if I was just taking weekend or one day of a weekend a month to go and visit someplace new. Um, I mean, you guys, I'm sure, probably know Tombstone, Arizona. That is, of course, in Arizona. That's where the OK Corral Showdown happened. You can go over there and check out like this piece of history of where stuff went down. Boot Hill Cemetery right there. Bisbee, which offers also some really cool stuff because it's one of, it used to be one of the biggest mines. Then you can go to Cottonwood, another great place. Clarkdale, they have the train that goes from Williams over the way to the Grand Canyon. There's another big one. Everybody talks about the Grand Canyon. Jerome, another great city to go visit. So I'm just saying a couple of them off the top of my head, but there's ghost towns, there's, different places to go and experience all these different things. And that is a regret because it's not till recently that I've started to venture out and try to see what this incredible state has to offer. Petrified Forest is another one. Oh my God, it's just beautiful. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I look back at my time here in the Phoenix area since 2001, and I got to tell you, I've loved living here. The desert is a beautiful place. I mean, you may look out and just say, oh, wow, it's a desert. It's beautiful. There's so much life to it. The wildlife, the birds, the coyotes, etc. I mean, it has just been a beautiful place. I feel blessed to have been living here as long as I have. So that's kind of it. A little bit of a breakdown of my review over the last, 24 years now at this point of living in Phoenix. Is it for you? It could very well be. I mean, it is a growing metropolitan city. There is a lot of jobs here. There's a lot of big companies coming in, semiconductor companies, computer companies, etc., that are coming in here. Lockheed Martin, there's tech companies. So it has been growing. So the employment is there. The cost of living, I think, for the most part, is pretty good. At least I think it is. And there's so much to do, and the state has so much to offer. I think, my review 2024 is a thumbs up. I've been loving it. Let me know what you think in the comments. I mean, I'm sure there's people that couldn't wait to get out. I have not had that experience.